Hi, everybody. Here we are. We are on a live stream on YouTube, and this is a Wednesday Wisdom talk on presence. And when we are, so quite often we find ourselves in pain. We find ourselves in different forms of pain in life, and we find ourselves in crisis. So, be it financial, be it job, career wise, be it family or girlfriend, boyfriend wise, relationship wise, like we find ourselves in different sort of emotional upheaval times over and over. And sometimes those times can be very, very hard, and sometimes they're not as hard. When they are very, very hard is when we're going to grow the most. That's when you're going to find more of yourself in the moment. Which means we end up bringing presence into our everyday interaction and into your everyday perception of the now. So, look, when I get sucked into a relationship and I get all caught up in the drama of it, my brain will say, well, she's doing this or that, or it's going to be this and that in the future. This or that is going to happen. And what I always fail to see is that it's my brain going into a program. Because, yeah, sure, if it happens one time, if you are in a relationship that looks one way one time, then sure, maybe that's just what happened. But when those relationship patterns repeat themselves year after year, and suddenly one day you're like, oh my God, I can't believe all men or all women are this way or that way. Most of us will say they're all douchebags, they're all liars, they're all manipulating, they're all this, they're all that. Because we feel like we have the same experience with different partners. And what we don't understand and recognize, which is normal, this is not strange, is that we have a self-fulfilling prophecy built up in here. And it is based in how we were raised, in how the interactions we watched our parents interact with each other, and then they interacted with us. And we interpreted the world and our own worth through how they interacted with us, right? So, and it's not to be a victim of your childhood, but it's important to see that your programming stems from somewhere. And then we have a deeper programming too. We have a karmic programming, which is more on a soul level, which is what's carried through different lifetimes. And that could also be something much deeper than what's going on just now. And so I went through a bunch of relationships that looked similar with different girls, different women. And at the end of that, I realized, even though I was heartbroken and crushed and I was in pieces, I recognized that I am the common denominator in all these relationships. No matter how much I want to put the blame on them, no matter how much I want to say, well, she's flirtatious, well, she did sleep around, well, she did this and that, well, they did this and that, they talked to their ex way too much, or they did this and that, right? Whatever that was that I kept saying, once it had happened more than one relationship, I could I started to be able to see a pattern. And of course, it took a while. It wasn't overnight, and it was a lot of pain for me. My ego had to break down. My ego had to be broken, where I felt broken, so that I could see that I am the common denominator in all my relationships, that my inner programming is what makes my relationships repeat themselves over and over. And unless I'm willing to see that, I'm doomed to repeat them. Much like when we say, if you don't learn from your history, you will repeat it. Well, this is, if you don't learn from your private, personal history, you will repeat that. And it's much easier said than done, because the pain of losing yourself and breaking down is very big. But it's also what makes presence come into your life. When we listen to Rumi, who is the 12th century poet from Lebanon, he writes, the wound is where the light enters you. And that is so very true, at least in my experience. Now, if you are a blessed person, you may have this awakening anyway. You may have experienced all of this like presence coming into your life without having to break. But for many of us, we have to kind of go down the ego trap way. It's down the path of ego. Path of I want this, I want that. If once I get this, then I'll be happy. If I'm strong enough, if I'm rich enough, if I got the right girlfriend, then I'll be happy. That's the path of the ego. And as I go down that path, I'm going to be broken. If I'm lucky, I'm going to be broken, because if I break, I have a chance to find presence. I have a chance to find the now. And in the now is where we find that bliss. We find the perfect existence. We find acceptance, compassion, tolerance, understanding, generosity, kindness, and love. And when we're still living from an ego base, it's very easy to be fear-driven. Well, if they take this from me, I can't allow that. Well, this person wants to take that from me. They want to take her away from me. They want to take my money away from me. They want to take my house. They, whoever they is or are, is going to come and take something from you. Fear-driven, fear-based ego. As we step into presence and now, we recognize that there's nothing I own. All we are is an expression of the universe, of life itself. We're an expression in every moment of life itself. All right, everybody, thank you for joining in. This is a brief live on YouTube. But I want to say thank you for being here. And we shall chat again soon. All right, everybody. Have a great day. Bye-bye.